Bismillah. Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala ahli wa sahbihi ajma'in. All thanks and praises belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the cherisher, provider, protector, curer, Lord of one and all. Complete blessings and salutations upon our beloved Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his entire household, his companions, and those who follow in their footsteps till the end of time. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم من همزه ونفخه ونفثه بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. I seek the refuge of Allah, the all-hearing, the all-knowing, from Satan, the rejected, from his incitement, from his blowing and his spittle. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي وسبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. أما بعد, I greet you with the greetings of Islam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May the peace, mercy and blessings of Allah be upon all of you. Welcome to episode 30, part 9 of this Adhkar series, reading from the book Hisnul Muslim, that is fortress of the believer or citadel of the believer. That's the fortification of the Muslim through supplication and remembrance from the Quran and Sunnah, written by Sheikh Imam Ali ibn Wahab Said ibn Ali bin Wahab al-Qahtani, who was born in 1952 and passed away in 2018. Rahimahullah, may Allah have mercy on his soul. We are still in the remembrance of the morning and the evening. Today, our hadith is narrated to us by Ummul Mu'minin Juwairiya bint al-Harith radiyallahu anha, may Allah be pleased with her. This hadith is collected by Imam Muslim in his Sahih Muslim, hadith number 2726, 2726. One time, Juwairiya bint al-Harith, Ummul Mu'minin, the Prophet ﷺ came out from her room for Fajr. And after Fajr, he came back and met her in her musalla doing Adhkar, remembering Allah. And the Prophet ﷺ was astonished and said, "Are you still here at your musalla, remembering Allah?" She said, "Yes." And he came to her during the time of Duha. So take, even if it's the early time of Duha, which is about 1 hour, 20 minutes or so after Fajr, that is the early time, but the most recommended time is from 11 a.m. in the morning, mostly when the feet of the small camels begin to feel the heat of the scorching sun in the desert. And then he told her, he said, لَقَدْ قُلْتِ بَعْدَكِ أَرْبَعَ كَلِمَاتٍ ثَلَاثَ مَرَّاتٍ. لَقَدْ قُلْتِ بَعْدَكِ أَرْبَعَ كَلِمَاتٍ ثَلَاثَاتٍ. لو كنت بعدك أربع كلمات لو وزنت ثلاث مرات لو وزنت بما قلت منذ اليوم لوزنتهن. That he said, after you I have said some words, 4 words, thrice, that if you are to put them on the scale with all what you have been doing from morning till the time of the forenoon prayer, he said that what those things that I said thrice, that's the 4 words, will outweigh in terms of reward, will outweigh all what you have been doing. And subhanallah, she said, "Ya Rasulallah, what are these words?" Then he said, "Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, adada khalqihi, wa rida nafsihi, wa zinata arshihi, wa midada kalimatihi." Subhanallah, beautiful words. What do they mean? Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, adada khalqihi. It's as though you are saying Subhanallah, Subhanallah, Walhamdulillah, Walhamdulillah. That is, glory be to Allah, and all praise belong to him, be to him or belong to him. How much? Up to the number of his creations. Subhanallah. Who can mention the number of creations of Allah? Even us, we the human beings, according to Worldometer, today in 2024, we are about 8.2 billion people, human beings, that are on the face of the earth. Then, let me give you an example that will blow your mind. What about angels? What about the animals? What about the plants? A simple example that I want to draw our attention is with the angels. When the Prophet ﷺ went for Isra and Miraj, Subhanallazi asra bi abdihi laylan min al-masjid al-harami ila al-masjid al-aqsa. Isra, that is journey from from Mecca, Masjid al-Haram to Baytul Maqdis, and then the Miraj is the ascension. He met Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam on the seventh heaven. And then there is a house perpendicular to Al-Kaaba, which is in Mecca, and in that house 70,000 angels enter to worship Allah every day. And when they come out the next day, another fresh batch of 70,000 angels will enter into Al-Baytul Ma'mur to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And these angels do not repeat themselves, meaning every blessed day we have 70,000 new angels that go in and out of Baytul Ma'mur. Subhanallah. So can you count, even from that time, about 1,400 years back, to the number of angels, 70,000 per day? That is 70,000 by 355 or so in the lunar month. That is lunar year, or the lunar months. Then you multiply them by 1,400. I think even your calculator will be out of range. Subhanallah. So nobody knows even their number. وَمَا يَعْلَمُ جُنُودَ رَبِّكَ إِلَّا هُ. So imagine, to blow your mind, the number of creations of Allah. Subhanallah. Now look at the sea. 70% of this world is covered by water. So you can imagine the number of creations inside the water. So imagine you are saying Subhanallah, Subhanallah, Walhamdulillah, Walhamdulillah, up to the number of creations of Allah. Then imagine you are saying Subhanallah, Subhanallah, Walhamdulillah, Walhamdulillah, Warida nafsi, until Allah is pleased with you. And anybody who Allah is pleased with, inshallah, will enter paradise. Like the people of Bay'atul Ridwan, who gave the pledge under the tree, as we can see narrated to us in Surah Al-Fatih, Quran chapter 48 verse 18. لَقَدْ رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ إِذْ يُبَايِعُونَكَ تَحْتَ الشَّجَرَةِ فَعَلِمَ مَا فِي قُلُوبِهِمْ فَأَنزَلَ السَّكِينَةَ عَلَيْهِمْ وَأَثَابَهُمْ فَتْحًا قَرِيبًا. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased with us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take our souls while He is pleased with us. Allahumma amin, amin ya hayyu ya qayyum, amin ya dhal jalali wal ikram. Imagine you are saying Subhanallah, Subhanallah, Walhamdulillah, Walhamdulillah, zinata wa zinata arshi, up to the extent of the weight of the throne of Allah. Subhanallah. Do you know the throne of Allah, how big it is? Let's give an example from the hadith of Abdullah bin Mas'ud, as-Sahabi Jalil, who is also known as Ibn Ummi Abd. He is the one whom the Prophet ﷺ said, Man sarrahu an yaqra al-Qur'ana ratban kama nazal falyaqra ala qira'ati Ibn Ummi Abd. That anyone who wants to recite the Quran the way it was revealed fresh should recite upon the qira'ah of Ibn Ummi Abd. Subhanallah. He is the one who one time climbed a tree branch and was plucking a branch, a leaf or thereabout, and the Sahaba began to laugh at his thin calves. And then the Prophet ﷺ said, why are they laughing at Abdullah ibn Mas'ud? And then they said, Ya Rasulallah, look at how thin his calves are. And then the Prophet ﷺ said, Wallahi, they should stop it. And he said, Wallahi, that these calves of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud on the day of judgment on the scales is heavier than the Mount of Uhud. Subhanallah. Jabal Uhud, the one in Medina al-Munawwara, close to in the outskirts of Medina, which is about 7.5 kilometer wide and then 1,077 meter high. That is 1.077 meters. Subhanallah, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. He narrated this hadith and is recorded in Ibn Khuzaymah, hadith number 9105, that the distance between the first and the seventh heaven is about the journey of 500 years. And then in terms of size, the first heaven compared to the second heaven is like a ring thrown in the desert, meaning first heaven is like a ring thrown in the desert. That's the second heaven is the desert. Imagine if you throw a ring in the Sahara Desert, which happens to be the biggest desert in the world. if you throw a small ring, I think you will not see the ring again because of the size of the Sahara Desert. So imagine the first heaven is like a ring thrown in the desert, which second heaven, we're giving an example just for us to comprehend. And then the second heaven compared to the third in terms of size. Now look at, imagine how big the second heaven is compared to the first. So now even the second heaven compared to the third heaven is like a ring thrown in the desert, and between them is a distance of 500 years. And this 500 years is not mentioned with which type of aircraft you are going to move. And then third compared to fourth, the same thing. Fourth compared to fifth, same thing. Fifth to sixth, sixth to seventh. It's like a ring thrown in the desert all through. And then after the seventh heaven, then we have the kursi, the footstool of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَسِعَ كُرْسِيُّهُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. And then also look at how big the seventh heaven is. Also the seventh heaven compared to the kursi of Allah is like a ring thrown in the desert, and between them is distance of 500 years. And then which is in Surah Al-Baqarah, Quran chapter 2, verse 255, in under Ayatul Kursi. Then after the Kursi, we have the water. Nobody knows what holds the water because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not tell us. No, the Prophet ﷺ mentioned in any authentic hadith. So we have to take it that way. Sami'na wa ata'na. So after the water, you have وَكَانَ أَرْشُهُ عَلَى الْمَاءِ. So the throne of Allah is above the kursi and the water. And then the kursi, look at how big it is. Also compared to the throne of Allah is like a ring thrown in the desert, and distance between them is the journey of 500 years. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is fawqa al-arsh, is on top of the throne, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then there are many people who take exception to this. They don't comprehend. They will tell you that Allah is everywhere. Yes, Allah is everywhere. It's everywhere, but not like the way people used to say it. Because Allah tells us in not less than 7 places in the Quran that He is mustawin al-arsh. Allahu allazi khalaqa as-samawati wal-arda wa ma baynahuma fi 6 ayyamin thumma istawa al-arsh. You can find it. Number 1, you have it in Surah Al-A'raf, Quran chapter 7, verse 54. You also find it in Surah Al-Yunus, Quran chapter 10, verse 3. It's also mentioned in Surah Al-Ra'd, Quran chapter 13, verse 2. It's also mentioned in Surah Al-Taha, Quran chapter 20, verse 5. Then also it is mentioned in Surah Al-Furqan, Quran chapter 25, verse 59. Also, it is mentioned in Surah Al-Sajda, that's Quran chapter 32, verse 4. Also mentioned in Surah Al-Hadid, that's Quran chapter 57, verse 4. These are the 7 places where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us that He is mustawin al-arsh. And then Imam Malik was asked, he said, okay, what is this istawa? These are Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ascending above the throne. Then he said, al-istawa ma'lum, wal-kayf majhul, imanu bihi wajib, wa su'alu anhu bid'ah. He said, subhanallah, look at how beautifully he put it. Even Salama, one of the wives of the Prophet ﷺ, made a similar statement that Imam Malik ibn Anas, he said, who was born in Medina and died in Medina, that's why he's called Imam Darul Hijrah. He was born in 93 Hijri and passed away in 179 Hijri. He said that Istawa is known. If he says Allah has ascended above the throne, Istawa is known. Well, Kayf, how is it? He said Majhul. We don't know. Iman bihi wajib. To believe in it, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is above His throne, is wajib, is mandatory. And asking questions about it is bid'ah, is an innovation. So you should stop at where the Prophet ﷺ said we should stop. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us, لَيْثَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٌ وَهُوَ السَّمِيعُ الْبَصِيرُ. This is Surah Al-Shura, verse 11. That's Quran chapter 42. And then also, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that إِنَّا خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ مِن نُطْفَةٍ أَمْشَاجٍ نَبْتَلِيهِ فَجَعَلْنَاهُ سَمِيعًا بَصِيرًا. Also man hears and what? And also sees. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also says, لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٌ, nothing is like him. And then he said, وَهُوَ السَّمِيعُ الْبَصِيرُ. Also he too, he says, he's all hearing, all seeing. But the kind of seeing of Allah and our seeing is not the same. So we shouldn't enter into the nitty-gritty and say which type of eyes does Allah have. Is the seeing, is it same with us human beings? He told us that he sees, he hears, and then we should accept it. That way, we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has knowledge of everything. يَعْلَمُ مَا كَانَ وَمَا يَكُونُ وَمَا لَمْ يَكُنْ إِذَا كَانَ كَيْفَ يَكُونُ. That's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Subhanallah. Subhanallah. So he knows everything. He knows what will happen. He knows what will happen, what has not happened, even if it will happen, how it will happen. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. He knows what has happened. He knows what is going to happen in the future. Even something that is not going to happen, even if it will happen, he knows how it's going to happen. Subhanallah. That's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's why the scholars said, we don't say Allah is everywhere. Like you said, is Allah found in the toilet? No. But from where he is, he sees everything. He sees even the ant, the black ant, under the black rock in the dark night. He knows its movement. So Allah knows everything. From where he is, he has knowledge of everything. He sees everything. He hears everything. He has knowledge of everything even before it happens. Subhanallah. So we should stop at that. Yes, and there's an ayah, wherever you are, وَهُوَ مَعَكُمْ أَيْنَمَا كُنْتُمْ, that is with us wherever we are. You are sleeping, he's with you. You are in the aircraft, he's with you. You are in the submarine, he's with you. Anywhere, he is with you. إِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَ الصَّابِرِينَ إِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَ الَّذِينَ اتَّقَوْا. So Allah is with everybody. It's those who are patient, it's those who have taqwa. So Allah knows everything. That's why when the Prophet ﷺ said, he asked one slave girl, he said, where is Allah? And then she looked at the heavens and said, in the heavens. And then the Prophet ﷺ said, she is a mu'mina. She has the aqidah of a mu'min. She's a mu'mina, that he told her master to free this slave girl. Because even her, when she was asked, where is Allah? She said, over the heavens. Subhanallah. Even if we are making sajda, we say what? Subhana Rabbiyal A'la. Subhana Rabbiyal A'la. When we put our forehead on the ground, we are saying, praise be to Allah, the Most High. When we are making dua, we will do what? We raise our hands up. And then we look at the sky. We raise our hands up. And then our deeds, our actions, our dua. Do you say what? They go up. Also, Azza Jibreel, he comes down from the heavens. And then all the ayahs talking about inzal, tanzil, nuzul, all are points and indications that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is above his creation, above his throne. Subhanallah. Allahu allazi khalaqa as-samawati wal ardi wa ma baynahuma fi sittati ayyamin thumma istawa al-arsh. That's what Allah tells us in the Quran in not less than 7 places which I've already enumerated, or I given the reference. You can go and check them up. Subhanallah. So you are saying Subhanallah, Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, up to the extent to the words of Allah. وَمِدَادَ كَلِمَاتِ. And Subhanallah, an ayah, that's ayah verse 109 in Surah Al-Kahf, Quran chapter 18, Allah tells us, قُلْ لَوْ كَانَ الْبَحْرُ مِدَادًا لِكَلِمَاتِ رَبِّي لَنَفِدَ الْبَحْرُ قَبْلَ أَن تَنْفَدَ كَلِمَاتُ رَبِّي وَلَوْ جِئْنَا بِمِثْلِ مَدَدًا. He said, if had it been all the seas is going to be used to write the words of Allah as ink, to write the words of Allah, all the seas will finish, and then the words of Allah are not going to finish. Subhanallah. It's a small dua within a short space of time. You say them just thrice, 3 times. It will not take you more than 3 minutes. It's not take you even more than up to 2 minutes. It will not take you up to 2 minutes. You're able to say this askar. So you should include it in our askar of the morning and evening. Let's repeat it again. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, adada khalqihi, wa rida nafsihi, wa zinata arshihi, wa midada kalimati. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, adada khalqihi, wa rida nafsihi, wa zinata arshihi, wa midada kalimati. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, adada khalqihi, wa rida nafsihi, wa zinata arshihi, wa midada kalimati. Under a minute. I've already said it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, may He give us the full reward. I think with this, we are going to pause here till next time. Remain blessed. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد سبحانه وبحمده سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد ان لا اله الا انت نستغفرك ونتوب اليك. السلام عليكم ورحمه الله. بسم الله.